Good morning, everyone, and welcome once again. You know what it is. It's time for Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports right here on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network. I want to thank you guys for being audio tuned in and video tuned in. If you're in the chat room, Lenny, great job starting us off today. There were over 20 people in the chat room this morning. So you guys stick around. And if you're watching on Facebook or through StreamYard, look, give me some comments, give me some questions. We're going to talk about some baseball to start with. We're going to talk about those undefeated Las Vegas, yes, Raiders. How about the Raiders? Did you watch Monday Night Football? And if you did, you watched. If you watched the first quarter, you were left with the impression, and you turned the TV off and went to bed. You were left with the impression that the Saints were going to run all over the Raiders. No. The Raiders have scored 17 points in every half this year. 2 games, 17 in game 1 in the first half, 17 in game 2 in the first half, 17 in game 1 in the game 2, 17 in the second half of game 2. 68 points together, balanced. They ran the ball. They threw the ball. I don't know if you watched out this kid, Darren Waller, the tight end. I mean, like 18 targets. Derek Carr looked like, well, he looked a lot better than Drew Brees. If you have Drew Brees in your fantasy, he did not look good last night at all. He doesn't throw down the field at all. He throws to his running backs. The Raiders own the game in the second half, and they're 2-0, and we'll see how it goes. We'll talk about football a little while later, but let's start off talking about baseball, and I want to talk about some sluggers. This is the last week of fantasy baseball, and if you're still in the hunt, you're trying to win a championship, I want to talk about 5 sluggers this morning that may very well be available on your waiver wire free agent lines. Okay, first I want to go to the desert, and I want to talk about Cole Calhoun and what he's been doing over the last 2 weeks. And first of all, I know that we may not notice West Coast players so much living on the East Coast, but if you're a West Coaster, you're all into it. Well, Cole Calhoun, here you go. He's got a 734 slug in his last 50 plate appearances. He is transformed, in my opinion, from one of the worst regulars to one of the hottest sluggers. Okay, here's what's happening. On September 6th, Calhoun was coming off a 6-game hitless streak that dropped his slash line to a 186 batting average, a 321 on base percentage, and a 419 slugging percentage. Since then, he's sitting at a 372 average, 431 on base, and 930 slug. That's right. With 7 home runs. Now, this is just since September 6th. 7 home runs, 16 RBIs, 11 runs scored in the last 12 games. He's pulling the ball at a 64% clip and hitting it. His hard hit rate's 59%. So, of course, if you're hitting the ball with that type of hard hit rate, then you're going to be hitting the ball out of the park. Now, I know Calhoun has been prone to massive swings up and down throughout his career. In 2018, if you remember, he started the year hitting 157 with 2 home runs over a 3-month period. That's half the season. And then he clubbed 16 homers in the last 3 months. So I don't want you to go and drop Mookie Betts for Cole Calhoun. I'm just saying, since September 6th, you won't find many hitters as hot as he is. Here's another one. Daniel Vogelbach, Milwaukee Brewer. Remember in the offseason, the Blue Jays go out and they sign Justin Smoke. That switch hitting, switch striking outing, first baseman DH. Well, the smoke monster is gone. And the experiment may be over. Bring on Vogelbach. Daniel Vogelbach is better than he's ever been. Look, over the past 2 weeks, what's he been doing? He's hitting .417 with 3 home runs, 10 RBIs in 36 at-bats. King Hap, good morning. Good to see you. Vogelbach was batting .094. That's right, 0.94 with only 2 home runs, 4 RBIs in 53 at-bats before leaving Seattle. So basically he wasn't playing much, and when he was playing, he wasn't doing anything in Seattle. He's streaky. Better or for worse, he's streaky. But right now, Vogelbach is as good as Vogelbach can be. Remember, in the last 2 weeks, a .417 average with 3 homers and 10 RBIs and only 36 at-bats. Vogelbach, Brewers are going to let him play. So there are more home runs to come. He does have to go up against the likes of Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray, Trevor Bauer. That's not an easy way to go. I'm not all in on Vogelbach. I'm just saying he's been hot of late. Now they wrap up the season with 5 games against St. Louis. That could make it a great ending to the season. Keep your eye on him. Third slugger, Nate Lowe, Tampa Bay. Now, Lowe has been a AAA darling. He didn't do much until 9/11. And on 9/11, he smashed a pair of homers in a beatdown at Boston, or to Boston. And he's only gone yard 1 time since, but he's reaching base and he's driving in runs. His raw power is graded at 65. Over his 47 at-bats this year, he's slightly above hard hit rate averages. I think he's going to play down the stretch. He's been playing. Hit a home run off DeGrom yesterday. Look at that as a serious pickup. Here you go. Now, this is talking about a guy who you don't have on your radar or didn't. How about Darren Ruff for the San Francisco Giants? How many of you guys own Darren Ruff in fantasy? Well, he's a former Philly first baseman outfielder who hadn't been in the majors since 2016. Injuries have paved a way for his return. And since September began, he has 4 home runs, 3 doubles, and a .400 average in 30 at-bats. 12 for 30. I know he's 34 years old, but he's in a hot streak. You know how that goes in fantasy. Ride the hot hand. All of the Giants' remaining games are at home. They face the Rockies and the Padres. For some reason, Ruff slugs 474 points higher at Oracle Park at home, where he's hit 4 of his 5 home runs this year. He's going to play. He's in a hot streak. He's my 4th player to watch whose slugging percentage is on the rise. Here's a 5th one. Fred, good morning. Good to see you online this morning. Thank you again, you guys in the chat room. My final player is a player who, beginning the season, got a lot of hype, considering he played for the Orioles. And other players surpassed him in discussion during the season, but here I'm bringing back Austin Hayes. He may have the least pure power of any of the five I'm talking about this morning. Remember, Hayes was a top 25 prospect before 2018. He had a promising September last year. He started the season as the regular center fielder this year, had a rib fracture. And over the past week, Austin Hayes is hitting .333 with a solo home run to his credit. Baltimore likely to keep him in the everyday lineup to see how he plays center field heading into 2021. A friendly schedule. They play Boston with its league worst 5.80 ERA before traveling to hitter-friendly Coors Field 2, Buffalo, to play the Blue Jays, where their home park has the highest home run factor and is the second home run factor in the majors and highest run factor in the majors. Don't be surprised if Hayes leaves the yard a time or two more. He will play every day. He's got favorable schedule. In fact, I like a lot of Orioles this week. Didn't think I'd say that a month ago. But facing Boston, facing Toronto, in Buffalo, it's a great spot to add someone like Austin Hayes. There you go. So those are five sluggers. Now, let's take a look at daily fantasy for today in baseball. I'm going to talk about some pitchers first. Framber Valdez for Houston. They're playing at Seattle. He's $9,700. His last outing against the Rangers, really good, 6.1 innings. Allowed 1 run, struck out 11. Seattle had a hard time hitting Lance McCullers last night. I like to pick on teams that aren't hitting. Valdez has been a major strikeout arm this season, striking out 7 or more in all but 2 outings. He has 20 or more points in 7 of his last 9 starts. He faces a Mariners team who's been shut down almost all season by left-handed pitching. They strike out 27% of the time versus lefties. They have a 189 below Mendoza line average and a 145 ISO. I'd roll the dice, put Framber in your rotation and on your DFS lineup tonight. Here's another pitcher I really like at a lower price, Brady Singer for Kansas City. He has started out really good this year. No hitter and everything, right? Back-to-back games, he's gone at least 6 innings, allowed 0 runs, striking out 8 in each start. He faces a Cardinals team. They've struggled offensively overall all season. They're striking out nearly 24% of the time are the Redbirds. And that's versus right-handed pitching. And they have a 235 average against right-handed pitching. I think Singer goes for a third great start. Those are my 2 pitching adds to DFS today. Framber Valdez for Houston, Brady Singer. Both are under $10,000. Other options, you ready? Drew Smiley, San Francisco, 7,600. And here's a real sleeper, but he's had a really good year. Keegan Akin for Baltimore at Boston, $6,300. Let's talk about catcher. Let's talk about Sal Perez, Kansas City versus Austin Gomber today. Salvi, since returning from the IL, has been nothing but raking. He's hit safely in all 9 games, 474 average, 21.4% barrel rate, 46.4% hard hit rate. He faces Gomber, who will be the opener and then some Cardinals bullpen after that. I'm not usually one to pay up at the catching position, but I love me some Sal Perez today against Austin Gomber and the St. Louis Cardinals. Other options, how about Jacob Stallings at 2,700, Pittsburgh Pirate great, versus the Cubs. First base, Christian Walker. You know, Walker has really had a good season. Okay. Last 9 games, well, strike that. Last 5 games, he has a hitting streak, and he's hitting 8 of his last 9. And over those 9, he's hitting .314 with 5 extra base hits. Over the season, hitting .289. He gets a really cushy matchup tonight against Lyles, Jordan Lyles. Are you kidding me? He has, to me, he's just the best pick to first base today. And at $3,300, beat that price. Other options, you got Freddie, Superman Freeman at $5,400, Bobby Dahlback for Boston, playing Baltimore, $3,700, and another Oriole, Ryan Mountcastle, $3,700 against the same Red Sox. Let's move to second base, where we've got Joey Wendell facing Seth Lugo in the Mets today. Joey Wendell, lefty, $3,800. He's hit safely in 8 of his last 9 for a .364 average. 3 stolen bases in that same time frame. Now, I know Lugo has nasty strikeout stuff. Wendell's a great contact hitter, trying to balance some power with contact here in my DFS lineup, and he's only $3,800. Third base, Josh Donaldson facing Detroit rookie Tarek Skubal, $4,100. Donaldson's hot. He's hit safely in 4 straight games ever since the ejection with the home run where he kicked dirt on home plate. 2 home runs with a .417 average. Stuffing the stat sheet late in the season. Other options at third, Maikel Franco. Lenny talked about him this morning early. He's $3,700 against St. Louis. Here's a real sneaky pick if he starts at third base today, really cheap. Take a look to see if Edwin Rios is in the Dodger lineup tonight against Oakland at $2,100. And if he is, put him in your lineup. But make sure first he's starting. Shortstop, how about Miguel Rojas for Miami against Bryce Wilson, $4,500. Over his last 13 games, he's hitting .333. 2 stolen bases and is walking 16% of the time. Hitting all over the order. I've already mentioned Calhoun in the outfield. He's an ad today. Byron Buxton against Tarek Skubal. How about Byron Buxton? We just don't give him enough love now, do we? A .271 average, 12 home runs. He brings a 6-game hitting streak into the game tonight with a .375 average, a .536 OBA, and he has 4 home runs over the 6 games with a 25% barrel rate. DJ Stewart is going to face off against former Philly not-so-great Nick Pivetta. Yep, Pivetta is on the hill tonight for, the Red Sox. There you go. Came over in that trade. Stewart slowed down some lately, no doubt about it. But I think against Pivetta, it's time to get back on track. He has a 45% hard hit rate on the season. He's only $2,600. And I got just a few more stacks. Look for Diamondbacks against Rangers, Braves against Marlins, Marlins against Braves, and a sneaky stack would be the Detroit Tigers facing off today against Minnesota Twins, soft throwing, starting pitching, Randy Dobnak. That's right. That would be a sneaky stack. Good morning to Fred Cruz. Let's answer some questions. Lowe or Lamb? I got to go with Lowe, if that answers that question. Kurt Hinton, good morning. Kurt's in a fantasy playoff fight this week. I'm sure he's been listening to this sage guru advice. We're going to talk a little football now, speaking of Kurt Hinton. Kurt's got a team, and we've been talking about his team. Kurt has really assembled a tremendous fantasy football team this year. I want to talk a little bit about fantasy free agents this week, who you might want to look at in the short term, maybe long term. So let's first start off talking about running backs. We know, or do you know, you may have been living under a rock, Christian McCaffrey, in most drafts, the #1 overall pick, is now out 4 to 6 weeks. Mike Davis is going to be the running back of choice in Carolina, taking McCaffrey's role for the next 4 to 6 weeks. And as hot as some players may have been last week in fantasy, there are 2 running backs I want you to focus on this week, and he is one of them. Davis may be a short-term pickup, but McCaffrey being out 4 to 6 weeks. Number one, we don't know it's 4 to 6 weeks. It could be longer. Davis caught all 8. He was thrown to 8 times. He caught all 8. He's going to get catches in PPR. He's going to get some rushes in PPR. He's going to take on the role McCaffrey had in Carolina. They're going to be behind a lot, and he loved to throw to their running backs. Mike Davis, put him down as a waiver ad. Fred, going back to Fred Cruz, it's championship week. If you got questions about players, I'll make it specific to you guys this morning. Just send them in. We'll talk about it, okay? But right now we're going to do football. Another running back I want you to look at adding this week is Jerick McKinnon for the San Francisco 49ers. So to catch you up on the 49ers, their #1 running back, Mostert, is out. McKinnon was a one-time starter. He's the only legit back in San Francisco. They're going to either run the ball a lot or drop down passes to their running backs. Who do I like more, McKinnon or Davis? In a 1-week situation, I like McKinnon better. I'm not sure how long he will be the #1 primary back for the 49ers. If you have more length, you need a player longer, Davis may be a better choice. Talk about a few handcuffs for a minute. How many of you guys in fantasy football own, speaking of the 49ers, Greg Kittle? If you're a Kittle owner, he has been graded from out to questionable this week. They're playing the Giants. And if he doesn't play, here's your cuff, Jordan Reed. That's right. Jordan Reed, former Washington football team great, last week started in place of Greg Kittle. And what did he do? Well, he caught 7 of 8 targets, and he scored 2 touchdowns. Good for over 20 points in fantasy. So if you are looking for a cuff and you own Kittle, go and look at adding Jordan Reed. Defenses this week, I'm one of these players in fantasy football. I add a defense. I like to add defenses who they're playing. It's matchup. That's the one place I think we can match up. And this week, the Indianapolis Colts are home to the New York Jets. Now, I don't know of any team that's in more of an offensive quandary than the Jets. They lost their running back. They don't have much of a passing game. If I'm streaming defenses this week, then I'm streaming the Indianapolis Colts. I'll give you a backup to that just in case they're not available. How about the Cleveland Brown defense, home to the Washington football team? And then finally, and this is sort of an outlier, but I think they're better than people think they are, the Jacksonville Jaguars defense against the Miami Dolphins. I don't think the Dolphins have much of an offense either. And I think if you're looking to stream a defense, the Jacksonville defense may be a way to go. We're going to talk more fantasy football on Thursday morning. We're going to talk some more baseball Thursday morning. And I've got a special coming up for you. I got a couple of friends I play fantasy baseball with. They are extremely good players. I want to have a season wrap-up show, the three of us on air together here on the network. We'll be doing that before the playoffs start. I'll keep you posted. You want to tune in for that. We'll talk about the season that was. We'll talk about 2021 fantasy, and we'll talk about the playoffs. How about that? Guys, it's been great to be with you today. I missed you yesterday. I went out yesterday morning. I had some work to do. Thought I might be finished. Hoped I would be finished. Was not. I hate to do that because I have things. I'm a scheduler. I like to have things scheduled and stick to my schedule, but it just didn't work out yesterday. So good to be with you today. Those in the chat room this morning, I don't think we say enough about, well, I guess maybe we do say enough, but our chat room, it's incredible. Let me just go over who's with us this morning. Clarona Cyclonus, DK Lush, Lenny, Star Dog. Now that's a good name I like. I'd like to know who Star Dog really is. Taco, you guys, thank you for being with me. Thank you for being live here on Facebook and on StreamYard. Fred, I didn't get any more questions from you. If you have more, I'll be back Thursday morning. We'll sort of go into it a little bit. If you want to, just let me know. And that's it for today. Guys, have a great Tuesday. I'll be back Thursday morning here on Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports.